What's up, everyone? KI Coaster Guy here. So, listen, I usually try to keep things pretty positive around here. You know, after all, amusement parks are about fun, so I try to keep the videos on this channel pretty fun as well. But today, I wanted to talk about something that's actually been swirling around in my head for a while as a video idea, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what I wanted to say until now. Now, most parks these days seem to have some kind of premium product you can buy on top of admission that allows you to either skip the lines altogether or at the very least have a significantly reduced wait time for the park's attractions. Now, depending on what park you go to, they all seem to have different systems, but the focus of this video is going to be on Cedar Fair's Fastlane and Fastlane Plus passes. Now, if you've ever purchased one of these before, you know, it could be an absolute ball to just walk around riding whatever you want pretty much right away. You know, and it also provides an option for people who are coming to a park from out of town and have only a short amount of time to experience as much as they can at the park before having to go home. This is not gonna be a video about how much they need to just get rid of fast passes. So those of you that are halfway through typing a screed about how life isn't fair and there will always be haves and have-nots and I need to stop whining, you guys can just take it down a notch. Fast pass is not a problem in and of itself, but it does have some problems. Now we're gonna talk about what's wrong with them and how they could be fixed. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, on May 8th of this year, Kings Island had their passholder preview event that they do every year. And let me tell you, I was super pumped for this. Now, we all know last season kind of sucked for obvious reasons, and it's starting to look like everything is going to be a bit better this year, so I was really looking forward to that weekend. Now, let me be clear here, I was expecting a crowd. Like, I absolutely was going into this with the assumption that there were going to be significant waits for things. But as we turned onto Kings Mills Road that morning at about 11:05 a.m., it became clear the park was going to be much busier than I had mentally prepared for. You know, if you're unfamiliar with the area, normally for us from where you turn onto Kings Mills, it takes just a few minutes to get to Kings Island Drive and then into the parking lot of the park. But on that day, we didn't make it to the lot until about noon. So after nearly an hour waiting to get to where we could just park the car, we did something we've never done before. We came to the park for the first time in a season, never entered the gates, and turned around and headed back home. Now, it really sucked to do that, but I'm glad we did, because the rest of the day I was seeing posts on Facebook and Twitter about what a miserable experience people had that day. Almost everywhere in the park, things were bogged down. The park got absolutely slain that day. I was seeing people talk about hour-long waits for Chick-fil-A or blue ice cream cones. Now, of course, we need to be understanding here, because for a lot of the people working the rides and food stands, this was their first ever real shift at Kings Island. It always takes a while for operations to get their feet firmly on the ground, and I totally understand that. Absolutely no disrespect meant there. However, there was one consistent complaint that I saw over and over. On many of the park's most popular attractions, including Orion, line separators were letting so many Fastlane Plus customers through each cycle that the standby line essentially didn't move, something I myself have witnessed on many occasions. Now, some guests that day took to social media to share their opinion that Fastlane Plus is ruining the day-to-day experience at the park, and honestly, I don't blame them at all for being upset. Fast forward a week, and we get to Cedar Point's first Saturday of 2021. And actually, as I'm writing this, I'm seeing reports that Steel Vengeance is currently a 91-minute wait in Fastlane. Now look, I'm going to be sharing some opinions in this video that I know could be wrong. If you were to say, hey, I like your suggestions, but they'd need this or that tweak to really work. Or, this idea wouldn't be effective because X, Y, or Z. And you have a good argument, you could change my mind. But one thing I can say with 100% confidence is that when Cedar Point is charging on this particular day $120 for each Fastlane Plus pass, and then the Fastlane queue extends out to 91 minutes, you cannot defend that to me. There is literally nothing anyone can say that's going to make me think that's acceptable. When you're charging a premium to offer drastically reduced waiting times for your attractions, and you have the gall to even call it Fastlane, but it's actually more than an hour and a half, you are doing something wrong. That is flat out not a good value, not a good product. Again, I get it's opening weekend, right? But that is 100% irrelevant. I don't care what day it is. It can be Memorial Day, 4th of July, Flag Day, whatever. If your fast lane takes 91 minutes to get through, you're kinda not really holding up your end of the bargain, right? Remember, Cedar Fair themselves are the ones that say they limit the amount of fast passes they sell each day. Something probably said largely so people won't worry that they're gonna end up spending $120 or more on top of whatever they've already spent and still end up waiting in a 90-minute queue for Steel Vengeance. Clearly, at least at Cedar Point, they are selling far too many of these. Full disclosure, I've kind of always had a problem with the concept of FastPass. To me, it represents part of a larger issue with American businesses where rather than innovate to solve a problem or create something new, they just sort of reshuffle things that they've already been selling you, repackage, and sell them to you again. Allow me to illustrate what I mean. Kings Island, Cedar Point, Carowinds, and the other Cedar Fair parks, and most parks really, operate on the model of paying admission and being able to make use of all the attractions, with a few exceptions, unlimited times throughout the entire day. Now, originally, everyone paid the same price to get in and can expect to get roughly the same amount of value. The park is only capable of providing so many rides to guests per hour and so therefore per day. So let's represent that capacity as units of fun. Let's say Super Fun Time Happy Land is capable of providing 100 units of fun per day, and today they have 20 guests. Each guest comes through and pays the admission fee in exchange for 5 units of fun on this particular day. This business has discovered that theme parks are fun and that people will pay to get into them. Great job! But then, on this day, an amusement park genius working at Super Fun Time Happy Land realizes that while amusement parks are fun, waiting in lines is not fun at all and is actually in fact quite terrible. So when the 20th guest does arrive, let's call him something like Brett, who no one likes. The theme park genius pulls him aside and says, "Psst, hey buddy, slip me an extra $120 and you'll get some extra units." He can't create more because the park is capable of only 100 per day. So instead, he decides to take 1 unit each from all the other guests and gives them to Brett. Brett likes this, but all the other guests do not. They also don't like Brett, because no one does. Obviously, this isn't a perfect analogy, and I know it's not this simple, but what I think it at least illustrates is that no matter how you slice it, the introduction of Fastlane does have at least some negative impact on the guests who don't purchase it. By creating this new product, they have weakened what they already offered, at least somewhat, because the price of admission is still there, but you now get less access to the units of fun. And what is this whole thing about if not units of fun? However, I've been convinced by my conversations with many of you that this is a product that does provide a value to a lot of people. I know there are people who work extremely inflexible schedules and just have no opportunity during the summer to experience the relatively lighter weekday crowds. Or, as I mentioned earlier, people who travel and maybe only get to make the trip to Cedar Point once a summer and want to make sure they actually get to have a good time. FastPass is a product that can provide a good value for those who make visiting parks more of a priority in their lives and want to make sure they aren't spending the equivalent of several days of summer standing in lines baking in the sun. Even I've purchased a FastPass, okay? I've been Brett. I get it. I'm completely in agreement that you should be able to take advantage of them. The problem is, though, at times they cause such an issue as to make the entire experience of the day a waste of time for everyone who doesn't have one. While this isn't an issue every day at Kings Island at all, I have seen it many times where line separators are filling trains halfway full or more of riders from the Fastlane queue, while the standby line spills out into the midway, hardly moving more than a few feet every couple minutes. On days like this, it's absolutely infuriating to watch a party of 10 just continue to lap you over and over and over while you wait 1 to 2 hours or even more for a ride that lasts altogether less than 3 minutes. But does it have to be this way? I don't think so. I think Fastlane Plus as a product could be adjusted to provide a a better guest experience to everyone while also providing a significant value to those who decide to purchase one. Here's what I would do if it were up to me. Number 1, I would further limit the amount of fast lane guests that are let through per cycle. My thoughts would be somewhere along the lines of 3 rows per train of a coaster, but that could be tweaked one way or the other. The main point is you shouldn't be filling trains with Fastlane Plus riders to the point that the quote standby queue, or what used to be known simply as the queue, is just not really moving at a reasonable pace any longer. Secondly, Fastlane passes should be scanned in the station and allow only a certain number of rides on a particular attraction per a certain period of time, perhaps 2 in an hour. But this, again, could be easily adjusted up or down if need be. This keeps Fast Pass users circulating throughout the park instead of continuously looping through the line on one particular ride. While perhaps a bit annoying at times if you have a Fastlane Plus, in the end, it still works out fine. Say, for example, you start on Orion at Kings Island. You could ride it twice, and then by the time you've hit Diamondback, Mystic Timbers, The Beast, and Banshee, for example, you're probably fine to go ahead and take another 2 rides on Orion. And if not, you could always just grab a quick ride on the Racer or something first. And number 3, I would further restrict the amount of Fastlane passes sold, particularly at Cedar Point, which seems to be a real problem park in this area. I'm aware that the situation we talked about earlier, where Fastlane Plus riders were waiting 91 minutes to get on Steel Vengeance, is not a common occurrence. But that being said, it isn't uncommon for the waits at Cedar Point for those with Fastlane Plus to be unreasonably long relative to other parks. The whole idea from the beginning was that a limited number would be sold. That way, if you purchase one, you wouldn't end up just waiting in a second really long line, albeit shorter than the standby queue. Whatever limits Cedar Fair has placed on how many of these passes are sold per day, it's clearly still too many at some of these parks. But care coaster guy, Cedar Fair is running a business. They are making more money in the current system, and therefore it would be illogical to make changes. Companies are in business to make money. They have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders and have no incentive to tweak Fastlane Plus as it currently is, just because a handful of coaster enthusiasts who the park does not care about at all want to cry because they are snowflakes. Yes, anytime you have a discussion like this on the internet where you make criticisms of a product or service, you get people giving you this boilerplate business truism spiel. Go ahead, scroll down into the comments. Depending on how long it's been since I've posted this, I can almost promise you someone who never made it this far into the video wrote something probably eerily similar to this. And yes, Cedar Fair executives have a duty to make money for their shareholders. That's kind of their problem, not mine. And when making critiques on the quality of a product, a consumer is under no obligation to consider a corporation's fiduciary duties, nor should they do so. If a product isn't good from a consumer standpoint, it isn't good whether it's making money for someone or not. In my experience, theme park and coaster enthusiasts tend to side with park operators a good percentage of the time. But in this CP situation on opening weekend, if you're taking their side, I have to say, I think you are dead wrong. If I had spent $240 on Fastlane passes for my wife and I, and ended up dealing with waits like that anyway, I would be just insanely infuriated. I might actually go Super Saiyan if that happened. Now, maybe playing it that way is going to work out for Cedar Fair in the short term, but I don't think they'll be able to continue selling them at that price for very long, if that's the level of service they're going to provide. How many people do you think purchased one of those wristbands for the first time that day? And how many of those people do you think would do it again? I think there's a saying for this.
Fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
There are a lot of people out there who feel like the day-to-day experience at these parks has deteriorated a bit in recent years. Now, we can give them a pass for last year. We were all having a hard time during the pandemic. though to be fair, I think Cedar Point in particular could have done a better job then too. But if you look back to 2019, you couldn't do anything at Cedar Point then either, after they introduced gold passes towards the end of the season. Right now, it can often feel like a waste of time to go to one of these places without a fast pass on the weekend. So if the whole idea is make the entire process kind of suck a bit, unless you pay extra, and then now we've got CP out here like, well, actually, even if you pay up, you're still probably not going to have a great time. What are they going to do now? Offer Super Fast Lane Plus Ultra, where you skip to the very front of the Fast Lane Plus line, and Super Fast Lane Plus Ultra Premium passes, where you use a port key to instantly teleport yourself directly to the seat of your choice on select attractions? Come on! What comes next? The only way to enjoy yourself in the park is to smash the like button and subscribe? Where does it end? I know this video is specifically supposed to be about Fastlane, but when I started working on this topic a couple weeks ago, I did a lot of talking to other people who spend a good chunk of time at the parks. And now, even though I do still think Fastlane Plus does cause issues in the park, I'm not even sure that's the biggest problem they have as far as current guest experiences go. It seems to me that Cedar Fair is, in general, selling more in the way of season passes, meal plans, and Fastlane Plus passes than they can actually reliably service. Now, I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I think Cedar Fair should take note and monitor the situation, because I know I'm not alone in saying it's become increasingly difficult in recent years to plan a decent day at some of their parks. I don't know how quick it'll happen, but if guests are continuously experiencing entire weekends where all they're able to achieve is 8 total rides while waiting upwards of 30 to 45 minutes to fulfill their meal and drink plans, people will eventually reconsider the hundreds, or for some, thousands, that they are spending on Cedar Fair passes each year. All that being said, I still think that these changes I'm suggesting to the Fast Pass system could help to alleviate some of the frustrations people experience when visiting. But I want to know what you guys think. How do you feel about Fastlane Plus as it is right now? Would you make any changes to how it works? What would you change? Let me know in the comment section down below. Anyway, folks, that all clear means I'm up, and out of here. Thanks again for watching, and I know this video's been a little bit on the negative side, but I still want to wish everyone here a phenomenal 2021 theme park season. It feels so good to be planning these trips again. I'll see you guys on the next one.